A lot of Pokemon have had their movesets nerfed in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This video will be discussing those nerfs, but no new Pokemon will be spoiled. Even with Pokemon Home coming out in 2023, transfer moves are now gone. Bisharp and Weavile no longer get knockoff. Blissey and Heatran can no longer Toxic. Landorus and Tornadus can no longer Defog. Scizor and Volcarona can no longer Roost. And in fact, the vast majority of Pokemon that learn knockoff, Toxic, Defog, Teleport, Roost, Roar, and Scald no longer can. Let's take a closer look at the Pokemon that received these nerfs. So as you saw in the thumbnail, of course, Landorus is the first Pokemon we have to talk about because it has received probably one of the biggest nerfs. Not only does it not have access to knockoff anymore, but it also misses out on Toxic and Defog. I have Blender with me here today and he's about to tell you what he thinks.
What they did, my boy. I cannot believe it. No knock, no defog, what are they doing? I do think this is pretty cool though. Maybe we'll start to see something like an offensive Tornadus T, or a lot of Pokemon that have defensive sets will start to run a more offensive stat. You know, Landorus T, it used to be the #1 offensive guy. Why did a Mon with 145 attack go on to U-turn and Toxic everybody?
Yeah. It's interesting because it was also its best counter and now it can't touch itself. Right, without using
you have to SD power Herb Fly.
Exactly. Without using Terra Blast, without using like Terra Blast or anything like that, it literally can't knock off Toxic or anything.
Ice Landorus.
I think Weavile and Kartana are the big offensive ones that come to mind too. Like allowing
losing knock
is big. Really it's how it gets progress versus heavy duty boots flying.
Exactly.
Types.
You can't get progress without knockoff. Like. Super tough.
Yeah,
You'll never beat Tornadus without knock.
It's also such a good good move to lock yourself into because Dark is good.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Who doesn't want to be locked into a 98 base power Dark type move? Dark has like some of the best neutral coverage in the game.
Exactly. And then Weavile obviously losing its biggest thing. It kind of reminds me of same thing with Bisharp pre Sun and Moon Sword and Shield, where these guys had to run Throat Chop, which obviously is not very good on these Pokemon in itself.
You know, I've always thought that knockoff was a bit overpowered in Gen 8 specifically. I'm sure I'm not alone. Obviously in Gen 6 and Gen 7. Gen 6 we had Megas, and then in Gen 7 we had Megas plus Z moves. So you had 2 Mons that could absorb knockoff. Now in Gen 8, nothing absorbs it.
Yeah.
So I was hoping in Gen 8 at least, if they had this bullshit where nothing absorbs it, that the base power would be decreased, because 98 is far too powerful. But I guess now they've just decided to eliminate it from movesets, which, you know what? I'll take it. I welcome a new change like this. I like seeing Pokemon go back to their honest roots. No more knockoff.
It's interesting though as well because something we mentioned in the video that we did with Blender where we talked about Scald, and we'll lightly touch on Scald here too. But Toxapex and Tornadus won't be able to come in on each other and just spam knockoff, spam knockoff.
That was how the game used to be a lot of the time. Whoever got knocked off first, and then progress would go from there. But there is none of that anymore. You're right.
Now it's just a big move to lose. Honestly, there are Pokemon that still learn knockoff via level up though. But obviously, I don't want to spoil anything. So, guys, let us know as well what you think about the other knockoff things. And Toxic is another big one too. We have quite a few Pokemon on this list that still can't have that don't have Toxic anymore. Heatran and both Heatran and Garchomp are really big ones that lost it. Besides, obviously, Landorus. Like Garchomp's defensive set. It was one of its best ways to deal with things, and of course we can't forget Blissey.
Really takes a hit because now like water types in general one of Heatran's best things was that the Spadef set takes what 30% from Scald
from everything.
Like
exactly.
The strongest defensive water type does 30 with Scald, and you're always toxicking. You beat Slowbro and Slowking.
Exactly. You would be able to toxic them, and then you Magma Storm taunt them. They can't teleport or slack off.
God forbid it's Protect. Then you're really screwed.
Yeah.
But
so it's really big because Heatran loses one of its best defensive tools. Like it's still great defensive typing, but it loses one of its best defensive tools. I think another one that's big besides obviously Blissey not being able to beat Pokemon like let's say Volcarona for instance.
This guy's screwed now.
Yeah.
He's getting set up on by everybody.
Can't touch Ghost. Can't touch Sub Combine Ghost or can't touch Combine Ghost besides Thunderwave, which is pretty big. But one of the biggest robberies here, besides special defensive Garchomp, and obviously Landorus, is Melmetal.
Right? Oh yeah, Mel not getting this is hilarious. Yeah, now Rotom Wash and stuff like that can finally
actually
beat
wall
this
it.
for
Yeah,
good.
actually wall it 1v1. Of course,
kind of nice.
There are other Pokemon on the list as you guys can see, but I think big one, like I said, is Melmetal because one of the best sets was Double Iron Bash. You have Protect Toxic, and Protect Toxic lets you basically come back from 4% to 100%, and then whatever you want to hear.
Because they would always pair this thing with what's it called?
Rillaboom for Grassy Terrain.
Rillaboom, right?
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So this is one of the bigger nerfs as well because Toxic allows it to beat Pokemon that wall this coverage, right? Toxic allows you to beat Zapdos.
In my opinion,
easily one of the best moves. Yeah. So it's such a crazy nerf here, and
just
then
looking at these 6 you put up and seeing that none of these can Toxic now is really
maybe
crazy.
even putting
especially
Buzzwole here.
Lando, Heatran, Garchomp.
Yeah,
Buzzwole can't Toxic stuff now, which is nice. Toxic Buzz is definitely a good set.
And then I think one of the other big ones from that list that we have down below is Hippowdon.
No.
So Hippo's not only nerfed in Slack Off having 8 PP this generation, but now it doesn't have its way of beating things. Like this was literally it, right? Yeah. This was literally like this is standard Hippo.
I only ever ran 2 Hippos. What you're showing right now, Stealth Rock Toxic, and Stealth Rock Heavy Slam. But that's only for when really weak to Clef.
Yes.
Or if I need to Oko Tapu Lele turn 1.
But now you can't keep Hippo in on special defensive like on Rotoms and stuff like with Waters.
Exactly. We would do that so much. Or like sometimes you can bring Hippo back to full with some doubles, but Toxic is just a really great move to have. Toxic is a very offensive move for defensive Pokemon to carry. That's why we like it. You know? Same thing with Knockoff. It's an offensive move. It forces progress.
Yeah,
and it removes the opponent's item.
And these mons losing that is just so crazy. And now when we look at Defog, just to keep putting the Pokemon there, but obviously Landorus losing Defog, a great Defogger, right? It's a flying type. We already had Tornadus here too. Some other options that actually lost Defog as well. Tapu Koko. This is decent. It's not as used on Tapu Koko these days, right? Like Tapu Koko, but Tapu Koko did lose another move as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. But then you also have Skarmory, one of the better defoggers, right? You have Pelipper for Rain, literally Rain's defogger. This was literally Rain's hazard control. And then you also have Zapdos and Rotom. So like, these are big because Zapdos being able to defog on things like Bisharp, and you know, Zapdos would really love to have defog right now when Landorus can't Toxic, because then you just go for Hurricanes or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's funny because a lot of these mons are so excited that the past mons that checked them got stuff removed, but then they themselves got stuff removed.
Yeah.
So they're screwed.
I mean, there was like the best defogger on this list is Tornadus because of Regenerator plus heavy duty boots, and now it can't defog, like, and it can't knock off either.
What is this thing's niche now? Like, you better start running that. You better start praying that your 70% hits.
I mean,
Nasty Plot.
Nasty Plot Hurricane is still.
This set is evil. If this doesn't miss, this set
it's
is
amazing. It's broken.
It's literally like near broken. If you don't miss, this is a nearly broken.
But it misses.
Exactly.
And
it does miss.
The Rain archetype now has to go. The Rain archetype now has to be even more offensive unless they want to start adding like rapid spinners on it. Maybe there's new Pokemon that have it.
Is gonna have a lot of challenges in this generation.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. Because the most notable thing is, by the way, none of this, which is big too. No Scald, right?
So, right, no Scald. So what is this guy gonna do now? He used.
This was literally this. Okay, so let's talk about everything that got nerfed on this. Pelipper doesn't have access to Scald. There's Roost is 8 PP. It doesn't have defog.
This shit is garbage.
Exactly. So the Rain archetype, I think the Rain is still gonna be good. Don't get me wrong.
There's only gonna be one set for my boy. Weather Ball, Hurricane. We don't expect.
I'm gonna go offensive with Damp Rock. I think that's gonna be a little bit stronger.
Yeah. That's
especially because I think they're gonna be Weather Boar. I think Weather Wars are gonna come back, especially with some of the stuff that we're not gonna talk about now. But
Weather Wars are definitely. I mean, that's how it always is in the beginning of Gen. Weather Wars come back extremely strong. We got Snowstorm as well. You know, that's gonna open up a whole new play style.
Exactly.
Weather Wars will be enormous in this. Agreed.
And then the big ones with Roost, this is where Tapu Koko for sure comes in. Like Tapu Koko loses Roost, and Buzzwole loses Roost, which is huge because Buzzwole's biggest thing was it can resist. But it gets worse. Volcarona loses Roost. Right?
Hell no.
Honestly, everything.
Stop the madness. Stop the madness, please.
Scizor as well.
No Roost for Sizz either.
And Hydreigon. Like, so that's just a few mons actually. And there's Mewtwo, but
he gets something though.
I don't think Soft Bullet is also something it gets right now.
Recover? Doesn't he get Recover?
It might get Recover in this game going forward, but let's get that out of there. But I mean, it's pretty big on all of these.
Yo, this is crazy though, especially Koko, Buzzwole, and Hydreigon, because a lot of people just run Nasty Plot Roost.
Yeah, it's a good defensive. It's a good defensive set for like Heatrans and stuff like that.
Koko no Roost is insane. Yeah. Can you imagine your Koko comes in on Tornadus, takes 30, and now you can only come in one more time?
And that's it. Yeah, exactly. That's a big thing.
So, and by the way, you got confused as well on this one.
we're just making it worse for you. Just letting you know. I was thinking that in my head, but it's really big. It's really big, right? Because Koko, this thing could come in on water types because it could take the hits and roost them off.
This thing was really, really deceptively bulky. You know.
Yeah.
Because the typing electric fairy is quite nice. You know, you wall U-turns, you wall volt switches. You can tank fighting type hits. Not saying, you know, this is gonna live a close, like a surging strikes from Urshifu, but you can switch into close combat. You
Exactly, exactly. And you can come in on all of Zapdos' moves before. Now you can't. Now you literally can't.
Exactly. You don't even beat Zapdos anymore. You lose to Zapdos.
Well, Zapdos loses to you too.
Oh,
but,
true.
Yeah, but
you both suck. It's crazy how this
Wait,
works.
no. Zapdos has Roost. Zapdos has Roost, but it has APB.
Oh.
It has APB though, so there's a big difference between 8 and 16 when it comes to Zapdos.
True.
But like Buzzwole was used for his resistances on most of the metagame, right? Like it could tank hits from basically every Pokemon here that is physical. And now it doesn't matter. Now it doesn't get the recovery back.
It literally doesn't matter. Exactly. What's the point if you can't recover back? Like yes, this
Volcarona has to run
extremely
offensive
bulky.
sets or Chesto Resto.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna see the return of Chesto Rest.
Yeah,
On some of this
literally.
stuff, and even then, Chesto Rest is a really funny gimmick.
And now you can't use boots if you do that as well. Now again, if terrestrializing is allowed in the metagame you play, and we don't know if it's going to be banned in the one we play, but obviously that's something Volcarona can run. So maybe an offensive one will just win anyway, right? Offensive Volcarona
will
anyway.
help for sure for some of the setup stuff, like
Yeah.
bulk. I drag on that kind of thing.
Yeah, but like Scizor having to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Buzzwole, Coco, Scizor. No, Scizor, you're right.
Yeah, Buzzwole has to be more offensive or rely on boots for that's it. Scizor has to run more offensive now, either Choice Band, Return of that, or Swords Dance sets, which I think is pretty big. Scizor also previously got Morning Sun, I believe, in Egg moves, but I don't think, or I think in Legends Arceus, but I don't believe it gets it
Morning
anymore.
Sun is outrageous.
I mean, it would be fine, right? Because it's APP and so is Roost.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
No, but we're gonna have a lot of Sun teams, so Scizor on Sun's gonna be the tech. You know what we might see from Scizor? We might see Assault Vest if we can't see Roost anymore.
I think AV was actually, I actually used AV back when Pursuit was around too.
Yeah, I think we'll see Assault Vest because without Roost, then the Psychics and the Fairies are gonna go crazy.
And you know what move we're talking about here when I put all these pink Pokemon that's not coming back.
Oh, no.
Teleport.
Oh no.
These Pokemon do not have access to teleport anymore. I don't even know if Clef is in the game. I'll be honest. I don't even know if Clef is in the game. There's some stuff saying it might not be, it might be. I don't know. But
regardless though, yeah.
Teleport on Slowbro and Slowking losing this?
Yeah, because Teleport has kind of left Clefable's move pool. It's huge on the middle three.
Yeah.
And Mew also can use it.
Yes.
When I see Mew, sometimes it has Teleport. I've seen Teleport spikes a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, Slow Brothers and Blissey losing this is just horrible. Especially
Absolutely horrible.
For slow twins. Yo, they're done.
Yeah, especially because they took advantage of Regenerator, right? And then we're gonna go into it in a second right after this because Scald is also something that is no longer widely distributed in the game. So we might as well get into it with this because
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
they can't teleport. And for those that might be watching and maybe don't pay attention too much to competitive, teleport was a switch. You didn't just leave the battle and the game was done and you lost or ran away or whatever. It was a literal switch, a -6 switch. So the way it worked is Slowking and Slowbro would literally take the hit or see what your opponent switched to or did and then teleport out to safely get a Pokemon in. So imagine you have a Kartana and your opponent has a Heatran out and you have a Slowbro right there, right? You can, if Slowbro's out, it can teleport as the Heatran switches out into something that would deal with Slowbro, right? Or let's say like a Ferrothorn came out and then you bring out your Kartana and you can go for Sacred Sword. So there was basically, it just allowed you to get in these Pokemon easier, and it was really broken with
risk.
it was really broken
risk.
with this like teleport, Future Sight,
With
Slack
Future
Off,
Sight. This was
and
like
Scald.
the evolution of Volt Turn.
Yes.
And it's like the most broken version of Volt Turn.
Exactly.
And this would be paired with Urshifu, right? Basically any strong attacker. Urshifu's just the easiest to pair with it. But
because
any
you can
strong
Future
attacker
Sight
paired
and
with Future Sight,
you can Future
Teleport
Sight and
is-
beat something. But
Yeah.
now these guys slack off's APP, which is okay because I think Regenerator you can you might not,
Regen is still very, very,
yeah,
very
Regen
good.
will still use it, and there was like some people saying that Regen got nerfed, but it's not confirmed yet. So I'm not gonna. If that is confirmed, we'll talk about it. But like I said, for
talk
three
about that down
for
the
three
line.
generations, I've made videos say Regen has been nerfed because
Y'all don't even know how to evolve some of the Pokemon in this game.
Yeah.
So I don't know how y'all are gonna know about Regenerator.
Teleport's gone. And Scald is gone on these Pokemon, which is huge on bulky waters, and we're actually about to pivot into
Teleport
that
leaving these guys is really horrible.
because they don't have their same niche.
These aren't played without Teleport.
Literally,
When do you see these without Teleport?
Literally.
It doesn't exist, right?
like we used them
I'm just trying to
when
think.
they could deal with like Cinderace and stuff at a point, but you can't if you can't teleport, what can you do?
If you can't teleport, what can you do exactly, right? Especially in a metagame we know is going to be offensively paced. These guys have no momentum now.
Exactly.
So You better Thunder Wave then. Like
Exactly. Blissey can't toxic. Blissey can't do anything.
yeah.
But granted, these guys have
When
beautiful
you said
move pools.
Blissey losing to all the setup guys like Volk, Ghosts, stuff like that, really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. Look.
Exactly. And again, losing Scald on mainly these guys. It's actually on Volcanion, which is funny. It's apparently Volcanion's signature move, which is interesting because it still gets Steam Eruption as well in the
give
data.
It two signature moves that are
Like
the
to
same.
do the exact same thing,
Whoa.
but losing Scald on basically every water. And again, we did a whole video on this on Blender's channel, but to kind of like break it down super quick, Toxapex can no longer Scald, can no longer knock off. Its recover is 8 PP.
8.
These are
So
basically
in my opinion, this is now always going to be running Recover Toxic Haze Light Screen, or it's going to run... Well, no, you can't run no attack. You need Poison Jab.
Yeah, you probably need Poison Jab or Sludge Bomb or whatever you can do from there. It'll probably be fun. I don't think it'll be good on stall.
This thing is ass.
Yeah, it won't be good on stall, but it'll be okay on balance. Like as a
This
pivot
will
into
be okay on
things.
balance, and it'll be cool with like some eject button type shit.
Exactly, to bring out other Pokemon.
Because the momentum will always... Pex will always have value because it's extremely easy to play offensively with Pex.
I agree.
Due to its goated typing.
Yeah, you just bring it in, let it take a hit, switch out. But
not being able to knock, not being able to scald
is big.
I think actually you will have to run... I'm trying to think, right? Because like...
You lose to Heatran if
you can't knock off Ferrothorn, you can't knock off Heatran, you can't burn Ferrothorn either. You can never do anything to Ferrothorn.
you can't burn
I don't know if
Dragonite.
Ferrothorn's
You can't
but the
burn
point is-
Gyarados. Like you can't burn anything.
This is horrible. You gotta have Haze recover, right? Pex needs those two always. So Pex will definitely have some trouble without its two best attacks.
Yeah, literally. Like
This
it was.
is
This
gonna
was
be very
this was a
difficult.
standard set with either knockoff or Scald there, or both.
Exactly.
You might see
Or you
some.
could-
You might see the return of Baneful Bunker on Toxapex too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the gist of it is that if you are a grass type or if you're a Pokemon that resists water, you don't have to fear switching in on a water move from water types anymore because they can't burn you unless their name is Volcanion. So that's a pretty big deal. And then lastly, Roar has been Roar is gone on some Pokemon too. So the ones that look at this, there's Swampert. I think Swampert's a pretty big one, though. Usually,
Swampert definitely roared at some point.
I believe it doesn't have Flip Turn anymore either, though. Or in case of Swampert, so
no.
you can't even yawn Flip
My
Turn. But
boy.
Swampert doesn't have Roar.
Flip Turn, aka the greatest
combo
getter
ever
in the
yeah,
entire game.
Exactly.
Literally the
and
greatest
then
momentum.
Garchomp
ever.
doesn't have it, but I guess you could still Dragon Tail. I think this is the bigger ones for Roars, right? Heatran and Swampert.
Heatran.
These guys can't use it.
I think in general though, Roar as a whole last gen kind of fell out of favor because heavy duty boots was everywhere. So you can't get as much residuals. But regardless, it does suck.
It does, because now like Pert can't burn you, so you can still set up on it.
Oh yeah, why? That's the thing. They're massacring my boys. Give it something. Give it something.
Yeah. So it's been insane. So guys, please let us know your thoughts down below. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you sub to me. Sub to my boy Blender. Like I said, we've been doing videos on his channel too. If you want to see more, we went in depth on Scald over there. So definitely check that out. And also, if you want to pick up Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I do have a Best Buy affiliate link. You can support me in the channel by buying anything using those links. So it's the physical copies, but if you go there and you go to the digital copies, or you want to pick up a laptop, or you want to pick up some Pokemon cards, whatever from Best Buy. I don't know if they sell Pokemon cards. I think they do. You can use that link and you support me. But yeah, sub, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Peace.